Hi there, friends and adventurers. Heather here from Heather's Hikes and Adventures. Welcome. And you are in for a treat today because I am going to be sharing 19 hacks, tips, tricks, products with you all that are going to make your van life or car camping much easier, more comfortable, and more convenient. So without further ado, let's get right into that list of 19, shall we? The very first couple of things that I want to talk about are right up front with me, so I'm going to stay right in the driver's seat while we discuss those, and then I'll kind of move into the back here. The very first thing I keep in my cup holder at all times, and it just plugs right into the 12 volts, and it's a little cup holder inverter. I use mine mainly to charge like my camera batteries, and then to run my hot logic, but as you can see, the one that I have has two 12 volts, two USBs, and a 110. I have the 110 version of the hot logic, so I just use this little AC outlet right here for it. A good rule of thumb to keep in mind though, make sure that you stay well under 150 watts. Don't run any high power appliances because you can blow a fuse and mess things up. Your inverter on your vehicle is not meant for more than that. So just, like low wattage appliances, perfect for charging while you're driving. Also make sure that you're not running it when the engine is off because you don't want to drain your car battery. Okay, moving on. The number 2 thing that I highly recommend is making sure you have a hands-free phone holder up front, somewhere on or near your dash. It's perfect for GPS navigation. I'm using one right now to film with, but let me give you a closer look at what I mean. The next thing I'm going to show you is my Fred the plant. And back here, please excuse the noise of the AC. It is hot, so I'm running my AC right now while we talk. And this little guy. This is an oil diffuser / air freshener. And even though this awesome little buddy Fred here is a decorative plant, that's what I've named him for those of you new to the channel. If you put a few drops of essential oil in here, when the sun hits it, it actually acts as an awesome oil diffuser to freshen your car. Same thing with this, it works with the AC so that whenever the AC is blowing, it blows out the air freshener. I switched to that instead of using a typical oil diffuser because I don't want any kind of greasy oil residue in my vehicle running a typical one. So this is my solution for that. All right, now we're at number 4 and 5. Number 4 is pretty self-explanatory. Make sure you always have a pair of shower sandals with you if you are going to be camping or traveling. Mine actually say shower shoes, but that's just a coincidence. I like these because they have little holes in them so the water can drain out and they don't hold any water in that way. But you definitely want those if you're using any kind of public showers. All right, as you can see, when I'm filming, this area right here in my front driver's side floorboard is almost always sandy. Partly that's because of this little nifty thing. I recommend having a boot scraper or something to keep the dirt off your shoes from tracking anywhere else. I store mine right under the seat, and that way I can keep all of the sand and dirt contained right in this one spot when I'm camping or traveling, and it does not track into the rest of my vehicle. The next thing I want to talk about up front got quite a bit of buzz and rave reviews when it showed up in my previous videos, and that is this handy dandy nifty little hair scraper tool. It's marketed for pet hair, which it's wonderful for, but it is perfect for car upholstery when you want to clean, since sweeping and vacuuming is not very effective on car upholstery type carpet. This is very effective at cleaning, so I always keep this in here. All right, we're going to take a little walk around to the back for a minute to discuss the next 2 items. On top of my 3-gallon water jug, I have this handy dandy USB chargeable sink pump. It allows me to have essentially running water by pumping water up out of the jug so that I can wash my hands, fill up water bottles, whatever I need. I think this was like maybe $12, and it's been going strong for 2 years, and I think I've only had to recharge it a couple of times total. Highly, highly, highly recommend something like this. While we're back here, I normally keep my fridge on this shelf, but it's currently back at home base charging and staying cold since I am in between loading up for trips and I am just at a local park for the day. But I want to talk about this. This is my newest addition, and it's actually the only thing in the list today that's a little bit spendier. So let's head inside and talk about this a little bit and go through the rest of the list. Okay, so now that we are back inside where I have the AC running, in the interest of full disclosure, because it is still almost triple digits outside, and I don't have time to deal with that today. This aluminet shade cloth. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it's basically woven very loosely together. They do come in different levels. This particular one is 70% blocking. I just realized I was sitting here shouting at you guys, and I have my microphone with me, so I don't need to be. But as I was saying, it does come in different levels. So I chose the 70% sun blocking, and I think it goes down to as low as 30 or 40% I saw online. You can also look at like home and garden type places, because it is marketed for like gardening to keep certain, plants and flowers and stuff from having too much direct sun. It's also really, from what I understand, used quite commonly in like dog shows and horse shows to help keep your animals from overheating. So it kind of got me thinking like, well, why haven't I seen this used more for camping as a camping hack to keep your vehicle cooler when you're, in hot temperatures? And I heard a couple of recommendations as I was doing my research of people using it and having good luck with it. So I thought, well, heck, it can't hurt. I was going to try a tarp anyways. Let's see if this is better. I'm so impressed. As you guys know from my previous recent vlogs, when I went to Florida Caverns State Park, if you haven't seen those, I'll link them below. But my campsite was in direct sun there. There was no shade, and I was so worried I was going to overheat because the heat index has been like 110. And I do camp all summer long, but I make sure that I'm in very shady spots. So since I couldn't be in the shade this time, I wanted to be prepared. And it helped so much. So highly recommend. I am going to experiment using different, I've got some tent poles and suction cup things to hook on to the roof of Terra. So I'm going to kind of experiment with a couple of different methods. I'm going to try to use it as an awning, maybe connect it between the van and my clam tent. So kind of play around with it and see if there's a way that I like best, or maybe certain types for certain scenarios. So I will definitely keep you updated, but I cannot recommend it enough. Like I said, the rest on the list are all very cheap, very affordable. This one is more expensive than your standard tarp, but highly worth it in my opinion. 11 out of 10 recommend. All right, moving on. I've talked enough about that. And to the next items on the list are also ones that have, well, one anyways, that has made an appearance before, and that is my Lunatec bottle. I highly recommend having a pressurized water bottle. Some people even use like the garden hose sprayers, that you pump and they can hold like a gallon of water. But I cannot tell you how much easier having a pressurized water bottle at camp has made my life. I use this for washing off my hands and feet, especially like at Florida beaches, or if you're camping in that sugar sand or dirt that, has a tendency to get in your sandals and camp shoes no matter what you do. Perfect for rinsing those off. Dog paws before getting back in, things like that. There's so many purposes to mist yourself off when it's hot. But really, I mainly use mine for washing off, like if there's a hard to get spot on a dish that I'm cleaning, or my feet that I just want to kind of spray off or wash off is what I mainly use it for. But the possibilities are endless. You can use it to wash your hair, shower, you name it. So definitely recommend having some type of product like this on hand when you're at camp. I do keep a very large Nalgene bottle on hand as a water bottle to refill and to use to fill up my smaller containers, or like for when I'm pouring in my kettle for coffee. But I have a smaller one that I use as my gray water tank, for lack of a better word to call it. Yes, this is my gray water tank. I use it like to spit my toothpaste in. If I have like little remnants of coffee in my cup before I make a fresh one and before I, clean it out, I'll dump the remnants in here until I can dispose of it properly and then just, wipe out my dish as usual. But this has come in so handy for leave no trace. I don't like the idea of spitting onto a parking lot if I am stealth camping and brushing my teeth. That's just, I don't like that. I don't want to spit onto a, wildlife preserve, toothpaste and things like that. I don't want to dump my coffee out onto, the dirt at the campsite, because all of that gets into the ground. And I really kind of want to leave as little impact as possible when I'm camping. So I love to have this on hand. It makes my life easier. I just reach right over and good to go. The next that I keep on hand is right in my little 3-drawer unit here. And that's my spray bottle, which is about half and half white vinegar and water solution. And this is my dishwashing station usually. I spray out my cups, plates, silverware with the vinegar and wipe it down real good and good to go. So I do keep biodegradable soap on hand for if I need to do like dishes, or, things like that with the collapsible sink. But 9 times out of 10, this is what I'm using to wash my dishes. So highly recommend a tiny spray bottle or a bigger one with vinegar and water to keep on hand for disinfecting and cleaning things. All right, friends, that was number 11. So we are over halfway through my list. Moving on to number 12 is something I already briefly mentioned earlier, also in my 3-drawer storage unit. My Hot Logic Mini. I love this thing. It was the very first cooking appliance that I purchased when I started car camping, almost 2 years ago. And I have gotten so much more use out of it than I ever thought I would. I really didn't anticipate using it a ton. I wasn't sure how convenient it would be since it does take like an hour or two sometimes to heat or cook something. And I was like, how practical is that going to be? But I love, love, love it. Oh my gosh. It's perfect for heating or reheating food when you are driving. So when I'm about an hour or two from my campsite, I just pop that baby in, start heating it. I get to camp and I have a nice, hot, fresh meal ready to eat. It's also great when I get to camp. I can plug it in, get all set up, all settled in, and then by that time it's dinner time, good to go. Or in the morning, like when I made my frittata, if you saw that video, I can cook something up, whip something up, put it in there to heat or cook, plug it in, go for a morning hike, come back, ready to eat. So it's very convenient if you don't need your food hot like that. And it uses such little power. It draws about, I want to say like 36 watts. So it takes very little power draw from my power stations, and it is way under the 150 watts that I need to stay under if I'm using my car engine to heat it. Well, not my car engine, but you know what I mean. If I'm, driving and powering it that way. All right, number 13, and I cannot take credit for this. I saw it on YouTube from other content creators that were doing van life or traveling, but I quick snatched that idea up, and that is using, pillowcases as storage. This is an empty pillowcase. Well, it's not empty right now, but I purchased it as an empty pillowcase, and it is currently containing my bathing suits and cover-ups, my pajamas, things like that. So in winter, I'll have 1 or 2 more pillows for decor because I'll use one for like extra blankets. I'll use another one for like my sweats and hoodies. So it's just great because it's nice and comfortable. It can double as a pillow, a backrest. It looks like decor versus clutter, and it doubles as storage. And who doesn't love multi-purpose items? I know I love a good multi-purpose item. So yeah, great way to store stuff. The next item I'm going to talk about cost me $10, technically $20 because I just recently had to replace it a couple months ago after serving me for 2 years very faithfully. And that is, I don't know if you can see it from here. We're going to take it down. this little USB light. I just hook it up into the little liners and it acts as an overhead light if I need bright light. I don't like to keep it on all the time at night because it is very bright. It's just like having a regular old indoor light switched on. In fact, let me see if I can demonstrate now, even though it's kind of hard to tell, but it packs quite a little punch there. So when it's up here, you know, at night, great source of light. And again, only $10. So it's always my backup lighting if my batteries fail on my other ones, if, you know, for whatever reason, I don't feel like getting everything set up, if I don't want to put my string lights up, instantly, boom, let there be light. $10, can't go wrong. And I think it draws maybe like either 1 or 2 watts, hardly anything. So I actually usually just keep it powered by this little battery bank instead of wasting any kind of draw on my power stations since I don't need it. But cannot recommend this light enough. I'm going to be sure to link it below because I think it should be in everybody's little repertoire. I'm a little bit proud of number 15. It's my version of DIY because I'm not very DIY-y. But I took this old mason jar, and my string lights are way longer than what I need when I have them up. As you know, I'll normally just string them along here when I'm at camp for some ambiance. And I put the excess in this mason jar, and I store my remote here because I'm notorious for losing it. But then I have a little DIY lamp as well that I keep on my end table. So I have a lamp and string lights, all for the price of one, and it's so pretty at night. All right, we are moving right along and booking. So the next thing I want to bring up is actually 3, technically, but I think it all counts as the same, and that is having a stash of handkerchiefs and microfiber cloths on hand. I have dramatically reduced my paper waste and waste in general since I started using these instead of Kleenex and paper towels. This is great for hiking as well if you need to blow your nose when you're hiking and then you don't end up with a wad of disintegrating paper in your pockets when you get done. You can just clip it right onto your backpack. You can use these as bandanas to wipe your sweat. So many uses, so handy to have one. I have one near me at all times now. And the same thing with the microfibers. I don't use paper towels for hardly anything anymore unless it's like food waste that I don't want to, you know, have on here. But I use it like to wipe up condensation, for like spills, you know, coffee, just other kind of spills like that. Whatever you would use paper towels for. And then you can just wash them. They dry super fast. They have antimicrobial properties. So they really are very handy. So definitely recommend having a good stash of those on hand when you are camping or traveling. I also recommend having cutting boards on hand. This is part of a set of 3 bamboo cutting boards that I use. This is the largest. I use it to make my coffee on in the morning. I just set my mug, my AeroPress, my kettle, everything right here, and just pull it right on out. When I'm done, it just goes right back under. And I do have a couple of smaller ones that I keep tucked back here as well for, you know, coasters, things like that. The other great thing is that you can just pop this baby out and bring it with you for a picnic, and you've got a built-in counter with you everywhere you go, or tabletop. We are officially down to our final 2 items now, and I know I have talked about these before, but I cannot recommend them enough. They use them for hospitals, long-term care, when people are recovering from surgery, things like that, and they cannot shower or bathe. All you have to do is just add a little bit of water to one of these cloths. And in fact, you don't even need to use a full one if you're not going to give yourself a full body shower. But you just wet down one of those cloths. It suds up. You lather your body up. And then all you have to do is pat dry. You don't have to rinse. You don't have to use a bunch of water. And you leave. I always feel very clean, not sticky. It's great. It's a wonderful alternative when you can't take an actual shower that day. All right, friends, that brings us to magic number 19. For the record, I do have many more hacks and tricks and tips up here in my noggin, so If you like this type of content and would like more hacks and tips and tricks to make your car camping or van life easier and more convenient, let me know down below, and I can happily do a part 2, probably a part 3, and so on as I think of more. I just didn't want to make this video too overwhelming and long and tedious to listen to, because your girl likes to talk and I could ramble all day if I let myself. So we're going to wrap this up with toothbrushes. I've talked about these before in my hygiene video, but I do try to eliminate as much disposable waste as I can and use reusable items, washable items, things like that. So this kind of seems in opposition to that, but hear me out. We all know that there's times where we are in a rush, and, well, maybe we don't all know, but for me anyways, we'll just talk about for me. When I'm in a rush to get out the door, or into the driver's seat rather, to get to a sunrise hike, to hit the road as quick as possible, or even if I'm just in between on a long drive day, getting ready to head in to do some errands or take a little rest break, and I'm not feeling so fresh, it's not the most convenient to always dig out your shower bag, get out your toothbrush and your toothpaste, brush your teeth, deal with all that, especially if people are around, or you just need a real quick convenience brush and go. And that's when I use these. So I don't use it all the time. I use my normal toothbrush and toothpaste most of the time. But these little disposable toothbrushes love them. They're by Colgate. They're called Wisps. And it has a little toothpick on one end and the brush on this end, and you can see there's like a little built-in toothpaste thingy, and you don't need any water. You just start a brushing and a scrubbing. So you don't need any kind of water, no setup, and then when you're done, you just toss it. So can't get much easier than that. And then, you don't knock over the ranger when you go up to ask them a question because you haven't had a chance to brush your teeth yet that morning. All right, folks, that is going to do it for my list today. That was 19 hacks, tips, tricks, products, things that are going to make your life easier if you like to car camp or do van life in any capacity. So whether you're part-time, full-time, one-time, going on a long road trip, or whatever the case may be, maybe you just drive a lot. I think that these tips are very handy and useful and can probably save you a lot of time, money, frustration, and hassle. So I hope you found this helpful. If so, if you want to give me a like, leave a little comment below to let me know. I would love that. If you want to share, if you think it's share worthy, if you want to subscribe, if you're not already subscribed. But I will see you on the next adventure otherwise. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys. See you soon.